Stephen, pre-season done and dusted. Saturday afternoon, first game of the Pro14 season. What's the mood in the camp like?
Yeah, pretty buzzing. Boys are really excited. Been a tough pre-season again. Learned a lot of lessons throughout the 3 pre-season games. So obviously against top quality opposition, we learned a lot about individuals and ourselves as a team where we need to improve on. But there's definitely been a buzz around the camp, and the fact of there's been a couple of boys coming back into the matchday squad, Tips and Kingy, which is pleasing. And again, there's been a lot of boys that put their hand up through pre-season and going to get the reward and get a start on Saturday, so everyone's keen to put their hands up.
You've touched on it a little bit, and it's certainly been a very strange pre-season with so many different times of boys coming back in, be it the internationals or even long-term injury boys returning, some unfamiliar sides in the lineups in pre-season games. So what exactly do you learn from matches like that?
Yeah, you learn loads, and obviously we want to win games, but it's about preparation, not only for the first game, preparation for autumn Six Nation windows. You want to find out about some of the young kids when they pitch up against top quality opposition. And again, you touched it on the first part, was the integration of the group. You start off with a really, really young group. You had the likes of Kai Evans, who done well in South Africa. You had Callum Carsons, Dylan Moss just in around the environment, hopefully upskilling them with the way we play and ultimately what it takes to be a pro. Then we have some of the 20s boys come back in. Then we get the early group who didn't sort of play much on the summer tour. Then the boys went into a week off. Then we had the rest of the Samoa Tonga group back in, and then obviously we're reintegrating some of the return to play well guys. And now last week Biggs and Webby were back in training, albeit Webby's not up and running yet, and then Alan Wynn will come back in on Monday.
It's all a big mix. It all makes it interesting for you, and it's something you're used to now after 5 pre-seasons in charge. But does it get any easier, and how do you handle it?
Yeah, I think you get less stressed, and probably when the first couple of seasons, as a coach, you'd be really panicking and you want everyone in for as long as time as possible, but you understand that you can't control it. Also, it's really good opportunities to get more of the younger guys in. I think as a business, as a rugby club, we bring young kids through really well, and I think just dropping in the likes of Kai Evans, Callum Carsons, even last year in around the Six Nations and autumn periods, young Will Griffiths, just seeing what it's like being around the group, getting used to it, the realisation of the step up they have to make, I think is really pleasing. But then you look at the likes of Keelan Giles is in the second pre-season with us, young Tom Williams is in around his third. So again, these young kids have spent a lot of time in our environment, and it's something we're pretty proud of, and we know that we need these young guys to come through quicker than we've ever done, so it's making sure that we build those up gradually.
Parking up pre-season, this is where the business end really starts now, the weekend. First championship fixture, Zebre at the Liberty Stadium. Are we ready for it, and what are you expecting from the team this week and in the coming weeks?
Yeah, I think we're mentally prepared. Probably again, there's still another game. We won't be absolutely perfect, but it's something that we're thereabouts. Like we said, we come off some really testing games. I think the vibe in the camp is really good. Playing at home is always exciting. It's given a nice day, and we want to. The things we work in the summer, we really want to come to the fore on the weekend against Zebre. As we know, they'll be physical. I think Conor Shea and obviously Michael Bradley, Conor Shea with Italy, I think there's been a real focus on their conditioning, so I think that there'll be a real step up from them in that regard. Obviously a new coach, Michael Bradley, you know, they're a physical bunch. The set piece has always been decent, but again, we've got to be really focused on ourselves and make sure we implement everything we've worked on throughout the summer, but we're going to have that spark and physicality about this, because I think the Zebras will really go after our breakdown.
What will you class as success this season when you look at last year? Improved our league position by 4 places on the previous year, got the semi-finals, ultimately ended in disappointment in Munster. In the Challenge Cup, accepted, but we still managed to win 6 from 6 and got to a quarter-final, which again was perhaps a little bit disappointing on the day against Stade Francais. So there are lots of positives, lots of negatives. You know, record-breaking tries last season, an exciting new brand of rugby for most of the season that took us to what we did. But what's the next step? What do you class as success this season?
Yeah, I think for us in the league, without being ridiculous with setting targets, I think we've got to be around those playoffs, and that's something that we pride ourselves on. I think it's something that we've had in the last 3 years. We had a taste of semi-finals twice. We've got to try and build on those sort of experiences, and we need to push on. We also know the start of the season, you got to build momentum as early as you can. And I think through the autumn Six Nations periods, I think they are vital in how you collect points. So we collected a lot of points there last year, something I think that's where we've got to be really strong, and hence why we play some of these pre-season games to find out about the Josh Coles, the Will Jones. No, Josh was injured, but these younger kids, Tom Williams, Jay Baker, to get those up and running, so those big windows. But I think for us, we've got to be in around those playoffs.
Recruitment this summer has perhaps been a little bit lower key than some supporters would have wanted. But you brought in some quality players, Jim Chuck, Corey Allen, Guy Mercer, and you've got Sam Crossing for the Sevens as well. There's plenty of experience there, no doubt in the ability. Is that with a view to perhaps those periods of the season that you've said about when the internationals are away, that you've actually got some more experience and quality to hold the team together perhaps?
Yeah, without any shadow of a doubt, I think it's the LV was a great experience for us last year, and around building, like Luke Price featured, then he's be able to play Adam Beard, they go to Zebras, pick up bonus point wins up there, which they start to settle. But yeah, we need like the likes of Guy Mercer coming in now through those windows will hold us together, because we are really, really young through those windows. But now you can see potentially likes of Lloyd Ashley, Paul James, Guy Mercer, these guys being a spine through those windows, which will hopefully really help us pick up points through those windows.
One of the players who mentioned there, Paul James, this weekend is a big occasion for him. He equals Duncan at the top of the autumn appearance list. As someone who probably the majority of your century of appearances for the Ospreys yourself are probably in the same team as Paul, and you're at Neath pre-regional rugby together, he's someone you know very, very well. Yeah,
he's been an outstanding servant for us. I think he gained from his experiences going to Bath as well, but playing with him, he's always someone. Well, him and Duncan, we were lucky enough to have those in our match days all the time, and whichever Lucid started was top quality. And just speaking on Paul, if you go into a real fight, you definitely want him by your side. Set piece has been notoriously strong for him, and I think for the age he's at, in the fact of the summer he's had, and the still the dedication, still the will, because obviously Nicky Smith is coming through and played the big games for us, and Nicky was probably stand-up number one for us last year, but Paul's really fighting along with Garth Thomas to get that mantle back, and fair play to RC, as you like to call him. He's really put his hand up through the summer, and hence he gets to start against Zebras, and it's his opportunity to put the marker down with all those experiences behind him.
And I think then finally that competitional place that you've got in that position, that's something that we have to develop across the board. We're starting to get there in terms of greater depth, but when you talk about potential lack of recruitment and big names and such like that some clubs have signed and perhaps the Ospreys may have done in the past, it is that development from within, it is that investment, it is that developing talent like Keelan, who we've just announced has signed a new contract. That comes at a cost as well, so with limited budgets it's about finding the right balance to give you the best depth you possibly can.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, and you see people leaving, automatically think those wages are freed up to go and spend and replace them like for like. It's not always the case. You look the likes of Keelan, the likes of Owen Watkin, these kids are coming through, and you can't keep them on the wages they're at, in particular when they're senior. So I think the club have looked after those guys really well. The amount of investment they keep putting into the youth, and just keeping players within our system is key for us, but that doesn't come cheap either, and it's not something it's overdone. It's something that I think is really fair with the club, and how they look after people is key in and around our environment, and obviously rewarding the talent when they do come through. And sometimes that does limit us in the potential quality or the amount of recruitment we can do, but it's something, like you say, the budgets don't change an awful lot, so we've got to make the best of what we got. And we know that our young group is something we heavily invest in. We really pride ourselves in it, and that's something that's holding us in good stead. It's keeping us really competitive, and ultimately we've got to look after those to keep them here for a period of time, so hopefully we can push on and go further than semi-finals.
And regardless of budgets, regardless of where we were last season, you're excited about the new season and the challenges ahead?
Yeah, every year is the same. You just can't wait to get back up and running. Another challenge this year. We're back in the Premier European competition, which is huge for us, and going up against the clubs like Saracens, Claremont and Northampton. Some people will probably see it as daunting, but I think our group are just really excited about it. I think it's amazing for our supporters, players, coaches to put themselves against people who've seen more budgets and potentially perceive more depth and squad depth, and probably they can go and buy in wherever they want to. So it's something that we're really looking forward to those challenges, in particular the Liberty and around our crowd and things. It's going to be really exciting, and I think we're looking forward to those challenges, but ultimately we've got to set ourselves up and build some momentum at the front end of the season with the league.